Yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan. As you may notice, we're a little bit more succinct than we usually are, but fear not, it was not Doge that came in and cut our staff. We just have some people who have lives beyond this show, hard as it may be to believe, and who are on the road traveling in different places. But fear not, we are joined by two of our three veteran attorneys, Steve Fishman and Joel Sklar. We have veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and of course we have co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel. Well,
wait, I'm going to come up with a new word. I know we became veteran, but I don't know when I'll do it, but I'm going to come up with a new word.
Okay. All right. We wait to see that.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that all of our legal questions are covered by at least one or two of you guys, if we have anything to cover.
I still think Mahula is a word. I have to believe it.
Mahula.
To accept.
Mahula is a
It
word.
is a word. It's a word. I looked it up. It's a
It
word.
is.
Oh my
Okay.
God! Uncle Max came through. Okay.
What does it mean, Steve?
Whatever Joel said it mean. I don't remember.
Cool. Like it just went to shit.
It means like an utter bankruptcy of things. I mean, how
Yeah,
much do I have to school you on Yiddish? Come on. I mean, it's enough that I moonlight in other capacities, but this too. Oy. Well, the president had campaigned on the idea that there would be no new wars, but now he's saying apparently that he never promised that or a rose garden, and in fact he held true on that by having Melania rip up the rose garden at the White House. Anyways, but speaking to NBC News' Kristen Welker, who also hosts Meet the Press every Sunday. In Wisconsin, it turned out to be a bit of a, let's call it a contentious interview. And Allan, I think we've got video.
Spilled over into an interview he did with Meet the Press where Kristen Welker called him on this nonsense and challenged him to give us any evidence that proves this vote is cooked.
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote in California.
They're crooked, just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
really.
Let's
well,
continue.
You play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
This is why he mostly dated women who don't speak English.
You're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked network. So let's call it quits because I've had
traveled all the way to Wisconsin for this
So part of the critique of that exchange was getting up. And by the way, for those who didn't see the actual clip, that has been slightly altered with CGI, just to let you know. He in fact was shown from his other side. Anyway, but the fact that as he's getting up, he calls her darling. And the other thing is he then goes ahead and he grabs her by the shoulder. And apparently several analysts have contended that the reason that he actually grabs her by the shoulder is because he was probably aiming somewhere else, according to his Billy Bush interview. But seriously, what it really was he was trying to catch himself. And this is an issue regarding his health, which now the revelation is that he had 22 different medical specialists who were examining him, which, by the way, is probably more than the Ferrari team that works on your car when you take it in for servicing, only by maybe 2 or 3 people. So it seems as though there is an increase in the question about whether the president really has all of his faculties, whether part of his lashing out at Crystal Welker is that she simply hit a nerve, that his response is not just misogynistic, but also health related. Thoughts? Yeah, Steve.
I personally, I mean, you're 80 years old. Obviously, when you listen to him talk and you just look at him sometimes, you know that he's aging poorly. But I think the misogyny is, I've said this 15 times on this show. I just don't think that he has any conception of how to deal with women, and particularly successful women, strong women, women who he can't boss around. Or I kind of liked the story that he said about it. They don't speak English, then he can talk to them, I guess. But I honestly, I think that this is his misogyny coming out over and over and over again. And I, for the life of me, still can't understand how women, because there's tons of educated women that voted for this guy 3 times. I don't know how women who have a regular marriage or deal with men in what you hope is a normal fashion can vote for somebody who treats females like this. It's just unbelievable to me. So I vote for it's misogynistic. Is he screwed up? Sure, he's screwed up, but it's misogyny from when he was 12 years old. He's never been any different.
You're absolutely right.
You see women, you see during the elections when they would interview women and they say, well, what about his, cheating on his wives and all that? And they would say, oh, my father cheated on my mother or, stuff like that. It's like people find excuses for cult figures that they admire.
But I mean, this is like a whole generation of mafia wives, Oh, well, I mean, he's got his work and
It's boys talk, as Melania would say.
But the garbage gets picked up, Joel.
But, because he's in a state of life where he's declining quickly, there'll be less inhibitions and more is going to be coming out, and it's going to be crazy shit. And the question will be, when will it be too crazy? Because this is the way, sadly, that dementia works or kind of decline works. You just start losing it. Your world is not.
And those
you perceive it ain't the real thing.
Those bursts of anger. That's a classic symptom of
classic sign. And you can see his forehead furling in a way that I've never seen. Bizarre.
Right. Yeah.
Again, those 26 specialists, I'm sure, are looking at a whole host of problems, but that cognitive decline is just so apparent. The dizziness, everything that's associated with cognitive impairment he's zigzagging. He's exhibiting. It's just really, and it's going to get worse. That's how this pathology sadly works.
Well, and look at these late afternoon availabilities, I guess you'd call them. They're not really press conferences where they allow reporters to come into the Oval, and there's always some group of toadies standing around behind him, usually including Lisa McClain, or often including Lisa McClain. And he just takes questions, because he loves to be the center of attention. And how many times has he told us that the war is over? The war is over. 38. Thank you.
That was the last count.
That was yesterday.
That was the last count.
My girlfriend's show. She said it was.
Okay.
38.
I know he's done since.
Okay. I mean, it's like the war's over. It's like we're so close to a deal. And again, in my effort to get out of my NPR bubble, I've been listening to WJR, and they dutifully report this. Well, the president's reporting that the war is over. And I mean,
we have a clip on this.
White House, where President Trump has just called off his threat to bomb Iran tonight.
He, quote, understands that the supreme leader of Iran has approved of a deal to end the war with Iran.
The Strait will officially open as soon as we sign, which could be soon, very soon, maybe over the weekend. In Europe, I won't be able to be there.
Why are you not going to the ceremony you just invented? What could you have going on that's more important than ending a war?
Donald Trump will ring in his 80th birthday with a UFC cage match on the White House lawn.
Well, yes, no. It makes sense, okay? Because peace in the Middle East is one thing, but a UFC fight is obviously more important, It's like how Franklin Roosevelt missed the end of World War II to be at WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, he could have had the best of both worlds. He could have seen if Khabib would take part of the UFC thing, if he would give him a visa to come into the United States. But on this point about Iran, I mean, we've had kind of a roller coaster. Market manipulation. Yes, Jill, I think that is certainly something
Did
that.
you see what the market did yesterday? It went up like, a couple a point or 2 points, I think it was. And that's what, he comes out and he says everything is fine, the market responds, and then everything is not fine and the market falls. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yep. Steve.
Which is kind of consistent with what, and you were saying you were listening to WJR. It's consistent with the fact that people actually still believe the guy when he opens his mouth. Yeah. And as someone who owns stocks, I appreciated yesterday afternoon. It was a really, really crazy but very profitable afternoon. But the fact that this market moves up and down like this based on a person who 38 times as of yesterday at 6 o'clock. So Joel, you might be right, might be 42 by now, who has said the same thing 38 times and it's never happened. How in the hell do people go and decide, oh yeah, I'll go buy some stocks? It just makes no sense.
Buy the dip.
Well, I mean, if you're a day trader, you must be like I don't know, freebasing 5-hour energy drinks.
I don't need the energy drinks, but I do a lot of that stuff, and all you make a lot of dough. That's true. But on the other hand, what percentage of the public is able to do that? What percentage of the public even has stocks? And then how can people who you would think would know better, after all of these years of lying? I mean, the guy's never told the truth in his life. And they oh yeah, okay, let me go buy Micron today. And if he says the other way around, I'm going to bomb the shit out of him. Everybody's going to go sell Micron. It's crazy.
It is.
Well, in this, we started the week with the fact that Israel was bombing Beirut. Iran retaliates against the military sites in Israel that were being used to launch those attacks. There was retaliation by the United States for a downed helicopter in Iran, and the IDF was also involved in strikes in Iran. And so despite all that, the ceasefire still held. The president then comes out and says that nothing doing, we're going in, we're giving in till 5 o'clock p.m. He never said whether it was Eastern or Tehran time, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's 5 o'clock somewhere in the world. And he then goes ahead and retracts in actually fairly a consistent pattern. It may not have been Taco Tuesday where Trump always chickens out, but it was some kind of situation where maybe on Wednesday Trump chickened out on this one. So again, I think it's difficult to just chalk this up to cynicism to say that this is about market manipulation, as our viewer Jill went ahead and said. Apparently in the news today, I think Alexander's hungry. He's yelling taco.
Yeah.
But the fact that apparently Prime Minister Netanyahu says that he only found out about the possible deal on social media seems rather bizarre, except for the fact that the Pentagon's own Defense Intelligence Agency raised the Israel counterintelligence threat to its highest level for fear that the amount of espionage that Israel is purportedly committing on America is at its highest and most dangerous level, whether it is just because of trying to countermand a deal that is being made, as is being suspected, that Netanyahu is trying to disrupt any kind of a ceasefire and resolution, remains to be seen. Steve.
First thing, as I remind you guys all the time, you can't trust a word that Bibi says, whether he says it in English or Hebrew. He's a very good liar in both languages. So when he talks, there's no reason at all to assume that anything he's telling you is true. That's the first thing. The second thing, the one good thing that appears to be coming out of all this mess is he's going to lose, because he's got people from both sides that are all over him. There are a lot of Israelis, a lot of these right-wingers in particular, that they don't want to stop anything. They want to go into Iran. They want to land it. They want to bomb the hell out of them. And as far as they're concerned, he's not doing enough. He's letting Trump, quote, boss him around and keep him from retaliating, blah, 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 blah. So one good thing I'm hoping, and my Israeli sister is hoping, and anybody who's got any sense is hoping that he's going to lose this election, and then we'll be done with him, and then they can actually have that commission to look into what was it exactly that happened in October of 2023 that allowed Hamas to come in and do all the things that they did. So there's a little bit of a silver lining inside a pretty dark cloud.
Does it seem, Steve? I mean, I've seen the reporting out of Israel that there is now finally a small majority of seats that would be able to defeat Netanyahu and any coalition that he's putting together.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. The coalition only worked because if they won certain seats. I guess what I'm thinking is that they're going to lose those seats, whoever it is that's supposed to be his allies. And you don't know what the extreme right wing is going to do, because Ben Gvir and the Smotrich, those guys are crazy, and they may pull some of their people away from him. I'm hoping that he's screwed. I think he's screwed. He's always shown a hell of an ability to get out from under it somehow, kind of like his friend Trump. But I'm hoping that this time, what was the song? This will be the last time. That's what I'm hoping. This will be the last time.
Maybe the last time. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. Alan.
I don't know that we're ever going to see peace in the Middle East, but the possibilities are much greater without Netanyahu, which really Netanyahu and Hamas are two results of extremists, of frustrations on both sides. And I think Netanyahu has always done everything to sabotage any true peace in the Middle East. And so if he goes, I think it's a step forward, and it's a step forward for the world. I mean, gosh, it's been insane, particularly since October 7th, 2023, for everybody in the Middle East, and for the contentiousness, and particularly really for being Jewish. I mean, the level of anti-Semitism. I'll say last week on one of our shows, the other show, Detroit in Black and White, we had somebody commenting about a Jewish lawmaker in Lansing, and he referred to him as a dirty Zionist. And in that respect, it's not. We're not talking about political views, ideology. We're just talking about name calling and just replacing Jew with Zionist as a code word for dirty Jew instead of dirty Zionist. But anyways. I'm 100% people should protest wars regardless of the wars, whether they're right or wrong. But it has gotten crazy and crazier, and Netanyahu is not helping the situation in the world at all.
Joel, before you go, Joel, it looked like for a minute there that you had two right hands. It was quite the optical illusion. Wow. But anyway, I think I've shaken it off now.
I'm AI Joel.
Joel's broadcasting from heaven. There's that white glow there of.
It's like the Cocteau Twins song, "Heaven or Las Vegas."
I'm so upset with this. You have no idea how I've delved. It's beyond me. So if anybody out there can help, go for it.
Okay. All right. But what were you going to say, Joel?
Nothing. I was listening, and then I was told I had two right hands, and that concerned me.
Okay, yeah, I know. I shouldn't have just put that out there, because I think now even our audience is going to start asking us questions about whether this is like that new Steven Spielberg movie that we have aliens in our midst. Yeah.
I want to.
Do you want to respond, because it's really the adjectives that are being used that are problematic. Even Zionist, and you have to agree on a definition for these words, because God knows how people are using them to begin with. I don't think there's a universal definition of Zionist or Zionism anymore.
But in fairness, I got to push back on you, Joel. In fairness, I think right here it's being used as a noun.
Okay. Yeah, I went to public school.
No, I have to stay on Nancy's good side. So
okay, but that's where we're going, and so people are speaking past each other because the terminology means different things to different people. Right. The idea of a Jewish homeland is what I understood Zionism to be. The idea, I don't think which I don't find that offensive. I don't know why people necessarily would. What is happening in Israel is offensive, but that to me is not Zionism. So I just want to be clear that until we understand what we're both talking about, we're not going to be talking to each other. We're talking past each other.
That's a very good point.
I mean, the word Zionist in the truest sense is that you believe in the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. What it's become is oppressor, baby killer, genocide, on and on and on. And it's taken on a meaning all unto itself, and everybody uses it. You want to call somebody a Zionist, it's fine. But when you call somebody in that respect, I don't think you're talking politically when you call somebody like that person referred to as a dirty Zionist.
That's so close to dirty Jew that it
is.
matters.
And I think it's the intentionality of the term. It depends who you're speaking to and the subjective understanding of what that person thinks Zionism means. If it means that you're a dirty Jew, well, calling you a Zionist is not acceptable, right? It shouldn't be acceptable. So I think that's what the terminology.
Language you can sit. I mean, it's a great activity for bike rides or any kind of like education or exercise that you don't want to do. It's just sit around and ask yourself, why is colored people a bad thing to say, but people of color is a good thing to say? You know, it's like the same thing, but it's all about.
So Nancy, am I to assume then that your family road trips never involved the license plate game, and this is what you did?
Ever since we got satellite radio in the car, we don't worry about that stuff. I'm talking about inside your own head. You know, it's just. I mean, when Black people started asking us to call them Black people, there were always somebody who would, oh, hey, Bill.
Hey, Bill.
There was always somebody who would say, no, I'm going to keep calling them Negroes, and that was a bad thing. But then every so often you come up against some respected Black academic who, is it Cornel West or one of those guys who uses that term all the time. And so Negro, I mean, and so it's I remember it's all about context.
I remember that. Yeah, I think it was the Yale law scholar. I think it was Stephen Carter who wrote an entire book on the N word. I think that was actually the title of the book, and a lot of it had to do with power. Look, I mean, I remember after 9/11 going through this about the essentialization that others would have about the term jihad. And they said, okay, if somebody's using the word jihad, it has to mean that they're looking to, arm up and commit some kind of an act of war. Where I mean, it's generally used as a word to struggle in the same way, I suppose that Christians would say, it's my cross to bear.
Or Sharia law. That's another one.
Well, that's a redundancy.
Well, right, Sharia. But I mean, I was talking to a Muslim from Dearborn once, and he was saying Sharia.
You mean someone other than me?
Other than you? You don't live in Dearborn. So it was Sharia is it's like binding arbitration between Muslims. It's like, it's not, I'm going to cut off your hand. It's I owe, Muhammad owes Samir money, and how is, and he's late with the payments, and how is this going to be adjudicated in a way that, so they go to the imam and they sit down and they hash something out. It's binding arbitration.
It's like Omerta, except we can't keep quiet. So
you're great talkers.
Yeah, Alan.
I have a funny story. In junior high, we were assigned to read the Dick Gregory book titled The N-Word. And we went to the little bookstore inside the school, Clinton Junior High, and a friend in the front, Marco Chin, was asking the woman behind the counter for the book, and she happened to be Black. And she said, "Can I help you?" And he stood there and he went, "Can I have the book, Negro?"
This is one of your favorite Who's on First stories.
Well, I mean, you had Hermann Hesse's The N-Word of Narcissus, and that was always going to be a tough one to check out at the library. But I'll tell you, in many ways now we've moved on from Muslims and Jews and Arabs and Palestinians and Israelis. Now it looks like the group that is under the glare of scrutiny of particularly this administration is, you found it right, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. When Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth was going to go ahead and actually declassify Mormons as being a Christian designation. Well, with a bit of hoopla, he had to go ahead and reverse his decision on that. But yet, he decided that he was going to show the rest of the world just how good of an ally the United States is. He goes to Normandy for the commemoration of the D-Day observances. June the 6th, 1944, Operation Overlord, coming in on the beaches of Normandy. What was it? The American beaches were Omaha and Juneau, or was Juneau the Canadian one? Well, that's that. Oh no, that's the music.
You've gone so far past my basic level of knowledge about D-Day, but go ahead.
But he gets there and just really lets him have it. Steve, you were shaking your head about this.
The first thing, there were still some veterans, all in their hundreds, that were present. And for this guy to start talking the way he was talking was such an insult to those people that you can't even really describe it. But let's go further than that. My father was a naval officer in the war. He wasn't in D-Day invasion, but there are so many people in my age group thinking about their dads were involved, whether they're in the Army and the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force, whatever. And this guy gets up there and starts crapping all over the Europeans for letting in immigrants and things of that nature. And keep in mind, by the way, an awful lot of people, certainly people like Joel and Allan and me, we're the sons and grandsons of immigrants. So who the hell are you kidding? It was okay for the Russians to come and the Ukrainians to come, but it's not okay for whatever it is he's talking about. I thought that was one of the most offensive things. I mean, he's an offensive human being, no doubt, but that one took the cake for me.
It really did.
There are people in this country who are immigrants whose grandparents fought in World War II for the colonial powers, against the Nazis, against the Japanese. There are immigrants in this country whose great-grandfathers fought in World War I against Germany, Austria-Hungary, and ironically even the Ottoman Empire, because the British were like, yeah, we're going to lose this, or things aren't looking good. So who do they send to storm the beach, the bluffs of Gallipoli? Let's see, it was the Indians, it was the Australians and the New Zealanders, and it was the Newfoundlanders. They didn't really send in a whole lot of Tommy boys over there. It was all by using their other pieces on the risk board. So yeah, Hegseth just managed to really slap a lot of people in the face with a complete misunderstanding of how Europe really ended up winning the war on the backs and on the blood of a lot of people that don't look quote unquote European today. So, yeah. but you gotta love him.
Yes, you know, the D-Day veterans are all pretty much gone by now. But as Steve points out, there are a lot of their children and grandchildren who are still around and remember all the stories. And why was Europe overcome with, or not overrun, but why was there such an influx of people from the Middle East? Because we screwed up the Middle East during the Iraq War. I mean, it was ridiculous. And so those people had to go somewhere, so they came here.
But it goes beyond that, though, Nancy. I mean, forget about just what happened in the Middle East. What did the colonial powers do to the rest of the world?
In Africa.
In Africa, in Asia, if they would have stayed out, these would have been thriving places. Before the British showed up in India, India was responsible for 27% of the world's GDP. When the British finally left in 1947, India's GDP relative to the world was down to 2%.
Right.
So it shows pillage. But by the way, if you go to England today and you're dealing with smelly and hot subway cars and trains that the tracks are buckling, you're like, where the hell did all that money go? You know, it's like George Best, the footballer, who said, you know, I spent all my money on wine, women, and music, and the rest, you know, I just wasted. So that seems to be part of the problem. But again, none of these people actually read a book, and Hegseth probably doesn't. Yes, thank you, Jill. The refusal to let in the Somali soccer referee into the World Cup. The Iranian team has been granted visas, but only for the players. A lot of their delegation have not. and they have to fly in and out of Mexico. And if they have a match in the United States, they have to arrive the morning of, and then they have to leave that evening. They can't get adjusted or acclimated. I don't know if anybody watched the opening match yesterday, which was Mexico versus South Africa. I got to say, it was the one bright spot of this World Cup that actually made me feel to watch the World Cup. But there were 3 red cards. I mean, it was a brutal match.
They beat the Safis, didn't they? Mexico.
The Safis?
The Safis, yeah. I'm using the Australian term for them, the Safis, yeah.
Wow, that's a deep cut. I was going to say, you might as well call them the Springboks is who they are. This is what happens when you don't learn any Afrikaans.
Yeah.
So, Alan, why don't we go to a quick commercial?
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Joel, let me come back to you.
Yeah, we're the host country. This is not how you treat your guests, and it's just it's a reflection of Trump. Just a Bulgarian to not have the decency, at least during these games, to be decent. It's just shameful and it's embarrassing. It's a reflection of from the top down, and so I'm just it's awful to see.
It's never been great because we've always, for some reason, had to endure Alexi Lawless as a commentator. But this is just so much worse to see these kinds of things. And like I said, I mean, Mexico showed how the true spirit of the World Cup is. Andrea Bocelli was the singer. He was in a duet with somebody, and the lyrics to the World Cup song had to do with this sport is in our DNA. I mean, it was such a poignant line because soccer is the world sport, and everybody comes together. It has stopped wars in places. It stopped civil wars in places like Côte d'Ivoire. People sitting down, kind of like in the trenches of World War I on Christmas, and just taking a pause in the world. And so for 39 days, that was the hope that we could at least be immune to things. But
if you go anywhere else, like in Europe, for instance, when we've been traveling there in recent years, the soccer ball is like the universal solvent. You see kids kicking balls around all the time, all of the plazas. They're not sitting around, on their phones or playing video games. They're out there just, breathing the fresh air and, playing around with the ball. So it is. We knew this was going to be a disaster. And the fact that we're now having this ridiculous UFC thing on the White House lawn is, while the World Cup is going on, it's just
he might make that permanent.
Lincoln Memorial. I mean, are you kidding me? These are the guys. Remember, Trump and Vance are the guys who yelled at Volodymyr Zelensky because he didn't wear a proper suit to the Oval Office. But they're going to have supposedly they're going to have the walkouts from the Oval Office. It's like, don't.
Desecrate.
This disgusting. It really is.
I think they should permanently have like elephant ear booths and hot dog on a stick things permanently on the White House.
Well, I mean, basically, isn't the cabinet right now looks like a bunch of carnies anyway? But okay, Steve.
I heard the lawyer on television yesterday who filed the lawsuit to try to stop the thing. And the judge that has the case, his last name is Mehta, they were wondering whether that decision could have come even late yesterday afternoon or whatever. And the biggest issue, it sounded like, according to the lawyer, and it makes sense, I think Joel would agree, was whether they had standing. They had certain people that were suing. But the issue itself is that it's pretty clear the law says that you can't use public property, the White House property, to make money. And this whole thing is more grift for Trump, for the whatever the name of the
Dana White.
Dana White.
Yeah.
So it's a $12,000 mem coin now. I mean, that he's selling that has no value, but he's selling to commemorate this. I mean, this is the biggest grift.
Yeah, so we're waiting. Don't be surprised, by the way, because I think this judge is a judge who has decided other things against this administration. So don't be surprised if today, late in the afternoon or in 15 minutes, the judge issues an order saying you can't have it. And then what?
Well, the best we can hope for, if that doesn't happen, the weather is supposed to be oppressively hot, like it's been here for the last couple of days, very humid. It's going to be held at night, which means there's going to be bugs and all kinds of shit drawn to those lights. It could be the grossest thing since the military parade last year.
And I think I saw a poll that said that only 12% of the public supports this. It's some ridiculously low.
Yeah, it's 16. I think it's Even maggots think it's disgusting. So
and probably most of those are under 16 years of age. But we have a little thing. Marco Rubio is defending the whole UFC thing. It's just,
can you achieve some of the things? We're going to put a man on the moon. When President Kennedy announced that we were going to put a man on the moon and return him safely to the earth, no one thought that was possible, and we did it. We are a nation founded on doing what no one else dared to do and no one else aspired to do. And at some level, that's what this whole company, what UFC has been.
Oh my God.
What?
Where's the analogy?
Yeah. That's him.
As we say, they're not similarly situated.
Joel, you clearly didn't get the subtext of the movie The Right Stuff, because if you would have really heard the exchanges between Gus Grissom and Scott Carpenter, you would have realized that they were setting everything up for the UFC and UFO are only one letter away, my friend.
So true. Interesting.
I'm just saying. But yet, despite all this, you have people who are clamoring for Trump's validation, and I use this word in quotation marks because it's really dangerous and loaded, his love. Here in Michigan, with the gubernatorial candidates, particularly Perry Johnson and John James, they are just clamoring for this, like two girls at an 8th grade dance, wishing the star athlete would just come over and dance one slow dance, maybe to Babe by Styx. I'm showing my age, but
I have to say, I mean, Perry Johnson is he's such a spectacle. He is such a weirdo, and this. The fact that these commercials that he's running, this is the other thing I'm doing. I'm trying to get out of my, pay TV streaming bubble. So I'm watching Jeopardy like all the other old people. And, the commercials that run during there with Perry Johnson, he's like, their attack ads against John James. It's really something. So he's got that strange look. He's got the orange hair. He's got the explicit call outs to Trump, the 47-47 thing. So
did you see on the National Mall, someone in front of the Washington Monument has put down on the lawn 8647?
I did see that.
Big investigation.
Well, it looks like crop circles, so I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something there. So to whom do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Al.
I was going to say the Perry Johnson ads. One of them, he called John James a liberal for voting for legislation that has a kill switch on the car if your alcohol level is too high. And so they show this woman in the car trying to start her car up, and it won't start because she's too intoxicated.
Yeah.
And some guy is smashing her window and attacking her. So they should have another version of that where she gets in the car and drives off and smashes into another car.
And runs that guy down.
Or a third version, Alan, where it's not a woman, it's Kash Patel with a wig. So the possibilities are endless. So whom do you think Trump will give his endorsement to in the gubernatorial?
He's mad at John James. He's mad. He wanted John James to stay in his seat to keep that congressional seat. He's pissed that that he's done it, but I think eventually in the general he'll endorse him.
Okay. Well, the Trump.
Steve's got something to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
I don't think he'll endorse anybody in the primary. He doesn't like. I don't know about to be wrong. If he endorses someone and they lose, that to him is this huge big deal.
Yeah.
And I think this race. I mean, Mike Cox is now starting. I was in the gym this morning. He had an advertisement on TV. I think he's got a few dollars that he hasn't spent. And how would you possibly predict who's going to win this thing? If this guy Perry Johnson can be polling 24%, and everybody on our show is typing in what a creep, it's obvious to anybody, you would think, when you look at him on the television, that who the hell is this guy? 24% of Republicans want him to be the governor? Are you kidding me? I don't think he's going to endorse anyone. I think he's going to sit back and see what happens.
Entirely.
Maybe it's nostalgia for Perry drugs, and it reminds them of that. So, yeah. Alan.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, John James is already running the old ads of Obama endorsing him for Congress, and it's indistinguishable. You can't tell that it's for Congress. Same way that Haley Stevens is using Obama now to promote her. Her ads. So.
That she was allegedly the chief of staff or something. Yeah, I didn't quite get that. But the Trump footprint still seems to have purchase around the country. There was a series of primaries, and in South Carolina, the gubernatorial race was one where his endorsed candidate, the Lieutenant Governor Pamela Yvette, not only won, but she trounced Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who had always been seemingly very loyal to Trump, except when it came to the Epstein files and a few other things. But she got shellacked. She finished fifth.
She finished last. Fifth is last place.
Yes,
yeah.
Fifth is last.
It was
Steve. Yeah.
Well, when you say she was loyal to Trump, except for when it came to the Epstein files, keep in mind who we're talking about. Loyal, in his view, means every single thing that he ever said or everything he ever thought in his life, you have to agree with. All that stuff in the past means nothing to him. Again, this is not a person who values anything other than total obeisance to him. That's all. And once she did that, she was done. But I wonder whether she'd have won anyway. I mean, the lieutenant governor. I mean, the numbers were crazy, right? Weren't they? And
yeah,
I think that they were losing regardless there.
I hope she can get the help that she needs, because I have rarely seen a woman who is so obviously going through some kind of public crack up as Nancy Mace has been for the last several years.
And this is a world that has also Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert in it. So
that's true. Although I have to say, both of them seem to have at least one foot in Realityville, whereas Nancy Mace is like she's shoved off from the dock into crazy lake.
Well, apparently MTG is getting some kind of stem cell therapy to anti-age. So you might
really,
yes, you may want to go ahead and update your perspective on her there, Nancy. Yes, I'll let you have a mulligan on.
She's already
Marjorie.
she's a regular gym girl. I mean, I don't think she has anything to worry about. She'll be fine.
Wasn't she having a dalliance with a tantric yoga instructor or something?
Yeah, he's probably got her into all that stuff, and who knows? Maybe she's RFK Jr.'s new side piece. Nothing would surprise me at this point.
Well, I don't know. I think Cheryl Hines is maybe still traumatized that he left her in the lurch when the shooting started at the White House correspondence thing. But one area where Trump did suffer a defeat was when it came to his preferred candidate for Los Angeles mayor. Spencer Pratt ends up losing in really what was a three-way race to Karen Bass and to I think her name is Nitya Raman, who sort of came up from the back of the pack to eclipse him. And all of the clamoring that the California voting system is problematic is one of the reasons why Trump seems so dissatisfied with it. But nonetheless, we have Pratt out of it. Maine, of course, is another story altogether with Graham Plattner, the Oyster Man, seemingly doing quite well over his Democratic opponents. and setting the stage for the general election in November against five-time incumbent Susan Collins. I was not going to channel Nancy doing Susan Collins. That is strictly in your bailiwick.
You should be worried about that young man because he seems to have some real legs to him. We'll see. I want to say something before we move on, though, about Spencer Pratt. And this is something I was talking to my husband about. I said, this is going to be one of the this is going to be the fart smell in the room that'll linger for years after Trump is gone, which is this idea that anybody who's famous can do any job. Okay. I'm glad that the people of Los Angeles, for their 1 and 2, put in the incumbent mayor and a city councilwoman, because Spencer Pratt, as far as I can tell, spent his entire career as a reality TV person, he made enough money to buy a house in the Palisades, Pacific Palisades, which is not exactly a trailer park. So, I mean, it's done well for him. But the idea that anyone would look at like a city with as many challenges as Los Angeles has and say, you know who I want to run this place? A reality TV show contestant. It's awful. And I think we've gotten to this point now that this celebrity culture has reached the point, he can string together, 5 words into a coherent sentence, therefore he's qualified to do the job. Do people not understand how hard it is to do some of these jobs, to be a politician, to balance all of the competing interests that you have to deal with
I'm sure Snooki does. What are you asking? What's your point?
But this, Kim Kardashian will probably run for something. It's just going to be one shit show after another. So
go ahead, Matt.
Go ahead, Steve. Steve.
I think what you're saying, Nancy, and if you're saying that, I certainly agree with you. It's a sad commentary on the state of the populace. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes,
it is. It's really, I never heard of this person. I still don't know who this guy is, Pratt. I mean, probably because
I could not have picked him out of a lineup. I don't watch that kind of TV, but I do know his name is, it's back in the dirty attic of my brain.
He's somewhat of a professional asshole.
Yeah, he's always the villain.
He's a villain.
He's the villain.
Right. But what it speaks to is a lack of education. We still don't teach government. I don't think they teach government in high school because nobody knows how government works. And so these guys are as good as anybody else. So this is
Spencer Pratt is the Temu version of Iago. I guess is the best way to go ahead.
Temu Iago, right?
Temu Iago, yeah.
It's just a vehicle for Trump to run out. This is rigged, and this is the most disturbing part. He keeps inventing these. He's going to invent the fake news, and the fake news is going to report on the fake news. It's maddening. I mean,
that's the other thing I want to say, and thank you for bringing that up. This talk about like the California elections are broken or rigged or whatever they want to say is simply wrong. And is the most bad faith attack that, that's all the only kind of attacks that Trump makes. But anybody, I've seen this kind of echoed here and there. Yes, well, maybe we should be looking into this in California, blah, 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 by responsible people who should know better. No. They count the votes the way they count them. It is a slow process. They explain it every single election. And if people don't want to take in this information and figure it out that from there, then you're like Steve said.
No evidence of fraud. That's what Welker was talking about.
Right.
Where's your evidence?
Yes.
Well, you can see it. That's not evidence.
Exactly.
And then he breaks fucking down, right? That's why in every court, if you come in a courtroom, people hate him. Juries clearly hate him.
Yeah.
Judges can't, you get this guy in a confined area, he's got to tell the truth or doesn't have control. He's a despicable human being. It ain't easy to figure that part out.
It is.
Oh God.
The fact that this argument is coming from people who a year or two ago were saying we need to go back to hand counting ballots. Are you kidding me?
No mail-in. Only one day.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it doesn't work that way. It's.
So on the issue of here, a little bit of a rapid fire thing. What do you think are the odds that Todd Blanche will be confirmed as the Attorney General, Steve?
the first thing that matters is what Tom Tillis decides to do, because he's on the committee. And if he votes no, the guy doesn't even get a hearing. And that's what I want to see, because Tillis has been making a lot of noise about what an asshole Trump is, and I don't like this and I don't like that. But so far, he hasn't really voted in a way that lets us say, oh, okay, you're going to count. You're going to make something matter with your vote, not just with your mouth. That's the first thing. The second thing to me is Cornyn also is making noise. I don't know what you guys saw yesterday. This is going to be a terrible 2 years, blah, blah, blah. Again, put your money where your mouth is. If he votes against Cassidy, the same thing. It only takes 4 of them, right? Even if Tillis lets him get to the Congress, it only takes 4. Lisa Murkowski's not going to vote for him. And Susan Collins probably isn't going to vote for him because she's struggling for her seat without Nancy imitating her yet again. So personally, I'm hoping that Tillis just says no, and that would end it right there. There's nothing to do to Tillis. He's retiring anyway. So
and Cornyn is lame duck now that he got primaried. So
and
they're
Cassidy
definitely in the
is lame
position.
duck.
Yep.
Tillis is on the Judiciary Committee, and in order to get out of there, you have to have, I think they're even in there or something like that, because all the Democrats are going to vote against him. And if he votes against him, he won't get out. He won't even get out of the committee.
And didn't he lie about the fund? Didn't he say nothing's going to be paid? It's off the table. This ain't going to happen. And Trump says, no, it's going to get paid. It is on the table, and they're going to get compensated. Isn't that somewhat of a misrepresentation?
Well, he wasn't the only one. They had 2 or 3 people in front of some committee that were trying to be approved. And when they asked them about it, they donkey-dicked around. They didn't just say, yeah, we're going to put it in writing, and that'll be the end of it. Joel, you do a civil case, you put it in writing, judge approves it, that's the end of it.
And if it ain't already, you're screwed and you're lying.
Yeah, and they kept saying, well, no, we've said, and they were asked directly, and I don't remember which senator asked, are you going to put it in a written document? And they don't seem to be willing to put it in a written document. So
just awful.
So a couple of other cases. 8, I think all students. I think they're all.
Yeah. I think he's going to have a real. Todd Blanche is going to have a really, really difficult time. I mean, he is so compromised. William Barr was compromised, but nowhere near this. Jeff Sessions surprisingly tried to uphold the integrity of that office. And we've had previously some AGs that I think Ed Meese, certainly John Mitchell, who are questionable, but this guy is the most compromised attorney general or acting attorney general we've ever seen in modern times.
Even more so than Pam Bondi.
Okay. I mean,
even more so. I forgot.
I mean, even Don Vito Corleone wouldn't have expected Tom Hagen, had he been on the U.S. Supreme Court, to be as bent as Blanche is. And he wasn't a wartime consigliere. Thank you for pointing that out.
Don Corleone used to say, one lawyer with a briefcase can steal more than 10 men with guns. So
there you go. So eight students were charged with federal crimes, including conspiracy to commit vandalism, intimidation, as well as conspiracy to tamper with a witness. These were federal charges that were brought up by over the last couple of years in the aftermath of October 7, 2023. Some of the incidents that occurred at the homes of regents at the University of Michigan, including Sarah Hubbard and Jordan Acker. It was interesting to see that the charges were primarily on the level of conspiracy, not on the complete crime. Do you think that is going to increase the chances for prosecution? Yep, Steve.
Well, the chances for prosecution are 100%. They're charged. You mean the chances for conviction?
A conviction, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay, so it's a 63-page indictment. That's the first thing that impressed me. I haven't read the indictment, but I read a number of things about it. If the government bothers to put together a 63-page indictment, they're recognizing a couple of things. Number one, this is not a political prosecution, but this kind of prosecution is going to bring politics into the reckoning of anybody that's looking at it, okay? The second thing is that they want to show the public everything that they have. I've had indictments against clients of mine that are 2 pages, literally. And they say they did such and such. They conspired to sell dope between whatever, and that's the end of the indictment. So I think that they did those things to make it easier for the public and anybody that wants to read it to see what exactly it is that they're charging them with. Which brings me to the next point. A lot of the things that they're talking about are really, really serious things, if they're true. And if they're true, is based on what kind of evidence do they have? And from what I can see, a lot of the evidence is out of the people's own, whether it's their text messages or things of that nature. Okay. The next thing, and the last thing I would say to the group that's listening today, they're trying to detain all of them. And in federal court, I've said this many times, I'll repeat it again. There's only 2 kinds of bond, particularly in the Eastern District of Michigan. You can leave, personal bond, they can make it 10,000, 10 million, whatever, or you don't leave, you're detained. And thus far, 1 person was released, and earlier in the week, they're appealing that to the trial judge who has the case. And the other people are having their detention hearings today over in federal court. I think they're in front of Magistrate Judge Patty. But when the government is trying to detain people, and keep in mind, from what I saw, and I'm not familiar with this kind of offense because I've never represented anybody, they're only 5-year max, 5-year maximums. It's not like drug cases where it's 20, or some cases it's up to life. So they want to keep these people locked up, which tells me that the prosecutors in this case think that they're a danger, either to flee or to continue to do things. And I think that they have a lot of stuff to back that up. So we'll see where it goes. But anybody that's paying attention to the case, they need to pay attention to 63 pages worth of indictment, the fact that they're trying to hold them. My guess is they've got a pretty strong case against all of them.
I think one of them, Steve, is punishable up to 20. One of the defendants, if I remember, you're up to 5 for the other. Yeah, Allan.
I agree with a lot of stuff Steve's saying. I don't think they should be detained. I mean, and Steve knows better. I mean, having covered federal court for a long time, and I don't know it as well as Steve, I would say generally defendants like this are not held. I don't think they're a danger to society, but I think it's interesting, the cries of politicalness and pettiness, and this is a low for government and stuff like that. It's like I telling Nancy yesterday, I was on strike at the Detroit News. I got arrested twice for civil disobedience. Did I think our cause was righteous? Yes. But that doesn't matter. I had to go before the 36th District Court judge. I had to have a lawyer. We had a plea, all that kind of stuff. When you decide that your cause is righteous, it doesn't exclude you from being charged criminally for doing some of the stuff. I mean, look, a rock was thrown through Jordan Acker's home in the middle of the night with his 2 kids there. His wife's car was spray painted. I mean, that's a criminal act. If you want to do that, if you think your cause is good enough, then you're willing to do that. But you can't whine about being charged about it and then screaming that it's political. It's
at a time when Josh Shapiro had his house firebombed. So,
right.
Yeah, that's something there. Lastly, I mean, since we really can't talk about going to the ribbon cutting of the Gordie Howe International Bridge, because that's not happening. It looks like it's been postponed indefinitely. Former Fox 2 News anchor Taryn Asher has filed a sex discrimination case against Fox 2 News. How do the prospects on this case look? Joel?
I don't know the facts of this case at all, so I can't even tell you what the prospects look. But let me just say there's 2 ways to prove this case. Typically, you don't have the first way, which is direct evidence. Somebody told Taryn, you're a woman, or you have a disability, whatever she's claiming is her protected status, you're gone. Other way to prove it is by circumstantial evidence. Basically, what she's going to allege is that she was similarly situated in Taraj. I hope I'm saying it right.
Rupraj, yeah.
And that he was treated favorably and she was not. And that the only reason that she wasn't was because she's a woman. And then what you're going to hear is the network saying, no, we have a legitimate, non-discriminatory reason for what we did. They will explain it. And that's what's probably going to happen. At that point, then Taryn will have an opportunity to say that's not the real reason. If the court finds that there is a question of fact as to those, the case will proceed. If a court finds ultimately that there are not questions of fact as to those issues, the case will get dismissed. So that's just procedurally what you're going to look at. As far as the merits go, God only knows. There's always two stories. I know what I'm told by clients. I know what I hear from defendants. But it's gonna take a while. These cases tend to last around 18 months to 2 years, maybe 3.
Okay. Allan.
Without going to appeal. Yeah.
I think
trial.
you're saying Fox 2 is digging its heels. They believe that she was difficult to work with, that she made the work environment less than desirable. That's going to be their argument. She's going to have, as Joel was saying, that Rup Raj was getting the better assignments and stuff like that. But, I don't know what the reasoning was. They said that he got more interviews on air than she did, and yet they had equal positioning. But I don't know if that's going to be enough proof there. I think she claims in her lawsuit that she was not screaming at people. There are people who say she did scream at coworkers and other people. So, but Fox 2 isn't backing, if Fox really out of New York or maybe California is where one of their offices is, but they're going to fight it,
Well, I mean, the complaint was actually very graphic. I mean, she alleges that part of the issue was that Rup Raj was treated differently, despite the fact that he had a 2012 DUI. I mean, so there is quite a bit of dirty laundry in the complaint that she was itemizing as far as "quote unquote" different treatment.
Sounds like any old
I do these cases, and there's two dangers. One, a plaintiff who overreaches and kind of dilutes their own credibility, and a defendant who doesn't recognize reality, which is also a big problem. Defendants who are going to shift the blame to her, that's a problem. You got to be careful with that. You don't want shifting, making the victim again. You got to be careful. So this is delicate for everybody.
The other thing is, I mean, if it's a Pyrrhic victory, I mean, she may win, but people may disapprove of her tactics, and she may be a bit of a hiring liability.
Correct. Yeah. Where your reputational harm, whether people admit it or not, is going to have an impact as well. So you better think this. I assume all those risks and benefits have been thought of. That she thinks she has a strong case, and therefore she's going for it.
Allan, you got your hand up?
Yeah. I mean, it's bad for Fox 2. It's a bad optics for them. She was basically suspended right around the election time last November. She was then finally they made a decision at the end of the month to fire her. She was gone. They wouldn't comment on her absence at all. Meanwhile, she was trying to get back in there. They were trying to work out a deal where she could get her job back, and they held tight that they weren't going to let her back in. And eventually, I guess this was the result. They were basically like, "We're going to file a lawsuit if you don't want to settle this." And they've decided they want to file. Yeah.
Well, before we go to our last segment, two tragedies to be noted today happened. One is the passing of the great contemporary artist David Hockney, originally from Bradford, England. And the other is that Elon Musk has become the world's first trillionaire since his IPO.
Yeah.
So there we go. Let's go to our last segment then, Allan.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Okay, Steve, who do you have for? Oh,
I have a 17-second video.
You're thinking to yourself, but Trump doesn't seem very pro-peace. He's attacked or threatened 1 out of every 13 countries on Earth. There's a simple explanation. The team that made that graphic misheard. Trump's not the pro-peace candidate. He's the 8-piece candidate.
There you go.
Very funny.
Gotta love the colonel. Okay, Steve.
Me?
Yeah.
Mine is fairly simple this time. Remember our buddy Gregory Bovino? That was the Border Patrol guy that caused so much trouble in Minnesota?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out that Gregory Bovino, and I have to look at some of the things that I had typed out. Gregory Bovino is contemplating a presidential campaign for 2028. And who does he have as his number one guy? And this is my real schmuck of the week. A guy by the name of Jacob Ingalls, Engels, who has been a very controversial figure for quite some time. But it's interesting that he's on the side of Bovino And here it is, June of 2026. And in May of 2026, Mr. Ingalls was arrested in Wisconsin and charged with felony possession of methamphetamine.
Oh,
And
only a meth
when they
head.
went to arrest him, he was intoxicated, and he got into this huge thing with the cops, and now he's got about 6 different obstruction of justice, interfering with the police. And he also has a great association with none other than Roger Stone and the Proud Boys.
Of course.
So, you know, this is the kind of guy. Bovino was such a fine fellow anyway, but this is the kind of guy you want to run your presidential campaign. So Ingalls is my schmuck of the week. My schmuck sub one of the week is, of course, Gregory Bovino.
Sounds like a classic Greg Bovino backer. So
maybe he'll pick Spencer Pratt as his running mate. Right. So we'll have to see.
I have to go. Thank you, guys.
Okay, take care, Steve.
Right.
Thanks.
Bye, Steve.
Have a great weekend. Nancy.
Oh, I have breaking news because I was looking at the Toronto Globe and Mail, and this story dropped about an hour ago. And it turns out that they were leaked this information from somebody in Canada, that the holdup on the bridge is that Matthew Maroon wants to negotiate a deal that will mitigate his losses from the opening of the new bridge. What's being discussed is they're talking about maybe sending Nexus holders, these are the people who have dual citizenship or jobs on, 2 sides of the border. It's like the fast lane on the bridge to get them over so they don't have to sit in the backups and go through customs every time. So they're talking about making Nexus holders have to use the old bridge. And there's various other points that are apparently up for negotiation. But this is the reason that we didn't get the new bridge open. And it's what everybody suspected, but it's not what we think. It's Matthew Maroon, according to the Toronto Globe and Mail, who wants to be made whole, or at least less damage.
In the last week, I went over to Windsor twice for various reasons, and I went out of my way to take the tunnel back and
Always
forth.
take the tunnel.
Yeah,
The tunnel is the better choice.
I will
always.
not go ahead and give the Maroons any money for their stupid bridge.
Oh, that's the other thing they're looking for, is they want some sort of adjustment in the fares, because the tolls rather. You've probably heard that the tolls on the new bridge are going to be significantly lower. So they want,
So I mean, people will actually, I would imagine, they would forego the whole Nexus thing and go on the better bridge.
Yeah, I would think so.
Why not? Okay. Joel.
Okay. On dive 2, they kind of they bleed into each other, no pun intended. The first one
I'm
is,
sorry, Joel, Nancy, did you give us your schmuck? I thought you just gave us the breaking news.
Matty Maroon.
Okay, it was Matty Maroon. Okay.
Matthew Maroon.
Matthew Maroon. Okay, Joel.
The New York Times reported earlier in the week that one of the killings in the water of the drug runners was actually probably 11 fishermen. And they had infrared, before they were killed, they had infrared photographs or video of 11 people standing, and drug boats do not have 11 people, right? They keep the space for drugs, and they blow them out of the water. And I read it, and then it disappears, right? And I can't think. I mean, this is these are international. These are crimes. These are war crimes. These were murdering people for non-capital offenses, and these people had nothing to do with it. And we're driving to deprive them of due process to tell us we're just fucking fishermen, right? And so I find that beyond offensive, and the press not. I don't know how we keep everything alive. I got it. There's a shitload of news, but committing war crimes over and over, even knowing when, we're probably killing people that we probably shouldn't be killing under any circumstance, is really depressing to me. And the fact that the press is consumed by the immediate and kind of forgets about what happened yesterday to consume whatever they have to consume is is bothering me quite a bit about Schmuck in that sense. And it's just very upsetting that it's
wow. We have our viewers saying the 1984 Detroit Tigers, or the Tigers since then, and Dylan Larkin. Those are
I would
good
go Steve
ones.
Yzerman, man. I think it's Stevie. I don't think they're your superstars who you cater to, not your GM. I got a problem with Stevie. So I don't think it's Larkin at all. Reminds me of Matt Millen and the Lion.
I sense an Oxford Union debate on that one, Joel. Allan.
I'm going to go with Marco Rubio for trying to compare the landing on the moon to the UFC event coming up on the weekend. And also the Detroit News did a story. I'm going to say Mary Sheffield. They did a story saying that she, as city council president, sat on the People Mover board from 2023 to 2025, never attended a meeting during that time when one of the workers there essentially embezzled $300,000, raising issues. And then she also sat on the Conservancy board where she was one of dozens on the Conservancy board where $41 million was embezzled over many years. And her thing is always like, that had nothing to do with me. But it's like, maybe we have to rethink some of these, particularly in the city of Detroit, these boards and what their role is, because we're seeing money.
It's not a social club. The Conservancy board was like a social club. It was
right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. But still, she wouldn't take any responsibility, and she's not going to take any responsibility for this. She never attended the Detroit News for 2 years, never attended one board meeting. So
there you go.
So my schmuck of the week is the U.S. State Department because of just the completely classless actions that they're taking against people trying to come to the United States for the World Cup, whether it's players, whether it's trainers, delegates, and others, denying visas for referees. It is completely unconscionable, really unprecedented in World Cup history. But it doesn't stop with the State Department and the World Cup. There is also now an active program to try to denaturalize U.S. citizens simply for expressing themselves on views which basically call out and exposed the incompetence of this government, including probably the foremost expert on understanding Iran, Trita Parsi, who is at the Quincy Institute. Trita is by no means towing the party line for the Iranian government. In fact, he's not even a Muslim, let alone a Shia Muslim. He's actually Zoroastrian. But his analysis has been spot on for the last 15 weeks. And that apparently is a little bit too much for this administration. And they're threatening to denaturalize him. Completely unconscionable. And my other schmuck is New York Knicks fans. Right. What assholes. All of them. I mean, they have made the Philadelphia fans look like they are at a convent. Rude, brash, and actually, if you think about it, very quintessentially New York. But to see them, and especially the celebrity row at these obnoxious matches at Madison Square Garden, if there's any reason for us to prop up San Antonio, this is it. But given the fact that New York found a way to come back from about a 30-point deficit the last game, it shows that maybe Detroit will get finally off the hook for being reminded every single year when a team wins about what happened here in 1984 when the Tigers won. I have a feeling New York is going to be probably the biggest challenge facing Mayor Mamdani is what to do if they win. So, New York Knicks fans,
I don't know if it's rumors or what, but I heard somebody told me that some of the Knicks fans were beating up some of the Spur fans and ripping off their jerseys, off their bodies, and stuff. So
they were doing that. They were pounding on their team bus. It was pretty bad.
It's so tribal. It's just so insane how tribal people are. How
You've never seen Escape from New York? Are you people just completely oblivious to what happens there? Okay.
This is like, because I'm not a sports person, this is kind of how I feel when I hear people say we, when they speak of like the Lions as we need to get our, it's like, are you out there getting your ass kicked every Sunday? I don't think so, but I guess those are people who believe that they're.
Nancy, you've never really been to a Lions viewing party.
No, I really haven't.
They, when the little egg rolls don't get heated just right, it can get pretty ornery. So
Yeah,
I'm just
I'm
telling
sure.
you. Anyway.
All right.
Well, listen, thanks everybody for joining us for another episode of The Week That Was. Thank you, Steve, who had to leave us a little bit early. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Joel. And thank you, and always with the last word, Alan.
Drive home safely.